Hello there, building on the rock, brethren. Hope you're all well. Chris has asked me to just share a little bit of a few of my thoughts on this verse, Matthew chapter 5, verse 27 to 30. So I'm just going to read it to you and then share a few thoughts that I had. Here's the verse. You've heard that it was said, "You shall not commit adultery." But I'll tell you that anyone who looks at a woman lustfully has already committed adultery with her in his heart. If your right eye causes you to stumble, gouge it out and throw it away. It is better for you to lose one part of your body than for your whole body to be thrown into hell. And if your right hand causes you to stumble, cut it off and throw it away. It is better for you to lose one part of your body than for your whole body to go into hell. So yeah, this is a bit of a thought about adultery and the way we should be looking at and treating women that we know. I guess Chris probably asked me to do it because I, at the moment, feel particularly challenged to improve the way that women are treated by men. In the Christian circle and outside, I've seen a lot of, and been a part of, just not being nice to girls, and I think they deserve a lot more respect than they are getting. So adultery, the seventh commandment is do not commit adultery. Now, get thinking about what adultery is. Is it a physical act, or is it something that happens in our head? And this verse here is challenging us that it's not just the physical act of doing whatever you're going to do with this woman that's not your wife, but adultery starts in the heart. Anyone who looks at a woman lustfully has already committed adultery in our hearts. Interesting, the heart, sin starts in our hearts. You've probably heard it said many times that what's going on in our hearts is seen in our actions. The verse in James talks about this. It says, "Show me your faith without deeds, and I will show you my faith by what I do." It's not saying that you have to have good deeds to be a Christian, but what it's saying is that what is in your heart will be seen in your deeds. So we need to really make Jesus the desire of our heart, so that it washes away all the sinful desires of our heart, of the human nature. God doesn't say that we haven't sinned until we've committed the act. God knows what's going on in our heads before we even do, but definitely before we act upon it. Really, it's quite a challenge to have that pure thoughts in your head. If you were to come inside my head, I don't think I'd appreciate that. Knowing what I'm thinking about, whereas I should be at that point where what's going on in my head is exactly the same as what's going on in my actions, and I should be at that point where I should be happy for someone to know my thoughts and for me not to be embarrassed about my sin. Sorry. I think this verse is saying that anyone who commits lustful thoughts in their head is as guilty as the guy who's actually acted upon it. The guy who's acted upon it probably just had the opportunity, whereas the one who's had the thoughts in his head probably just didn't have the opportunity to act upon it. Think about if you had the opportunity to act upon some of your thoughts all the time, how strong would you be at resisting the temptation to act upon it? So when it comes to looking at women, and I think this verse is saying it's a sin to look at a woman and appreciate that she's attractive, but I think it's where if that was the case, sure, it'd be better if we were blind, if we couldn't see, because it's impossible not to see attractive girls. But verse 28 in this section talks about the lustful intent behind our thoughts. Anyone who looks at women lustfully has committed adultery. Not anyone who looks at women has committed adultery. Those lustful thoughts that may or may not go in your mind, they're similar to like pornography. It's just as much a sin to have these lustful thoughts in your head as it is to look at pornography on the internet or magazines. Yeah, and I think this verse talks about the seriousness of sin. Goes with the analogy of cutting off your hand or gouging out your eye, and saying that that's better than the whole body's going to hell. I don't think this is literal. I don't think we should all go and cut off our hands every time they sin, because I imagine we would all not have any hands or any eyes. But I think that's just to emphasise the seriousness of sin. I think it's more about, like it's an analogy for cutting off that sin that happens in your life. So if you've got a problem with pornography, for example, you need to get some filter on your computer that stops it from coming through, or you need to not go into that shop that has all the magazines on the top shelf that you could look at. And you need to, well, the next bit that I was going to talk about is inviting the Spirit in. I don't think any of us are strong enough to do this by ourselves. I'm certainly not strong enough to fight the battle against sexual temptation myself. I need God's Spirit in me. Romans 8 verse 13 says, "For if you live according to the flesh, you will die. But if by the Spirit you put to death the deeds of the body, you will live." Yeah, we need the Spirit in us so that we can put to death the deeds of the deeds or the desires of our body. It's not something we can do in our own strength. So I guess the challenge from this verse is to discipline. If we're going to read it literally, we need to discipline our hands and our eyes. We need to not be having a second glance at that girl across the road who's attractive, or looking at things on the internet we shouldn't be looking at. And our hands, we need to be using our hands to glorify God and not to glorify ourselves. So yeah, let's invite the Spirit in to help us with this. And just to encourage you, if you're not currently accountable to another Christian male, it's a great thing to do. I regularly meet up with my accountability partner, and we help each other through struggles and encourage each other in things that we need encouraging in, and just pray for each other. And it's just like one of the best things in the week, because it's really putting God first in my life, opening up and sharing what's been going on, actually, not just, "How are you? I'm fine," but actually sharing what's going on in each other's lives. Yeah, I really think it's a good way of putting God first in our lives. So yeah, let's do that, and let's discipline our hands and our eyes with God's Spirit. See you all soon. Au revoir.